Did you catch those RPM fluctuations? I was holding the pedal smooth, but the RPMs were going up, down, up, down. That's called torque converter shudder. That's really common on the 6L80s and the newer transmissions. When I bought this thing, it had a 30,000 kilometer rebuilt transmission in it. Lately it started shuddering. I had it diagnosed at the transmission shop who did the original rebuild, and they did say the torque converters failed, but they also said, because it is recently rebuilt, as long as there's no metal in the pan, I have a new torque converter, I should be able to just change it out and we should be good to go. Obviously, if we find metal, we got problems, but hopefully we don't. Let's really hope we don't. Come on. While we're under here, we might as well disconnect the front oxygen sensor and then the exhaust manifold bolts on the passenger side. Now we gotta remove the rest of the oxygen sensors. Now we got the ball and socket flange on the back of the Cadillac converter. Now we got to pull the rear drive shaft out. Really simple, just 4 bolts. We're now at the point where we got to disconnect the electrical off the transfer case, take the transmission cross member out, and then we can get the transfer case off the back of the transmission. First transmission mount. Second transmission crossmember bolt. That's the transmission crossmember, which means we can get the exhaust down finally. I finally got the exhaust out. Is there any need for burying it so badly? Those early 90s and the 2000s, they come out a lot better. This thing, there's just not room for it to come out the bottom. This is retarded. Come on, wake up, engineers. Stop being so stupid. Or at least the ones that designed this thing anyway. Well, before we get into things too much today, let's crawl under, take all the transmission pan bolts out, drain the fluid out. That'll make it 30, 40, maybe 50 pounds lighter when we go take it out. Well, I will say, considering I just changed the fluid not long ago, it is pretty dark. I don't know if you can see, but I do not see any metal. Wow. I can't believe, I think I got stupid lucky with this thing. I don't see any metal in the pan. There's not a whole bunch of sludge like from the clutch coming apart on the torque converter. It looks super clean. I really can't believe it. I was really scared that maybe the torque converter came apart and filled the pan full of metal, because I did have to drive it to go get it diagnosed. It looks like I got really, really lucky on this. I can't actually believe it. But thankfully too, because that's about $1,000 torque converter instead of a $4,000 transmission rebuild. So yeah, I'm really grateful for this. I really can't believe how dirty the fluid actually is though too, considering I just changed it a couple thousand kilometers ago. That's snow again, because it's snowing. Now we got to pull all the transfer case bolts out, which half of them I can barely even see. You won't be able to see. We're now ready to pull the transfer case out. How heavy this is? I don't know. I'm hoping I don't die. Okay, that's not as bad as I thought. That's not too bad. Now that that's down, we got a bunch of brackets that hold little wiring harnesses, the fuel lines, just all little things on the transmission. A whole bunch of 10mm bolts. Let's get them all out. And now we get transmission lines, 13mm. Oh. How much bolt is there? Now we're on to torque converter bolts. We got 3 bolts to take out through where the starter used to be. The first torque converter bolt. A lot of blue Loctite. Now we gotta bar it over to find the next hole. Bolt number 2. Bolt number 3. Well, that's all the torque converter bolts. The only thing left is the bell housing bolts, and then this is ready to come out. Those old style with the removable shield on the bottom of the bell housing are a lot easier than these one-piece bell housings. That's 15. Oh! to leave that one loose to hold the transmission in place. Oh, oh, come on. And this one the same deal. Well, folks, the transmission's out. I was going to get some video recordings of taking it down, but that was just not possible to get myself in there and get you footage. I think you can figure out what an idiot lying underneath a truck trying to balance the transmission on a floor jack looks like. Now, look at this. So this is the torque converter. Obviously, this is the one that failed. I see why it failed. So I was told by the transmission shop that they put an aftermarket unit in it. Obviously, this thing has stamped right on here, reman for General Motors. So apparently it had a factory torque converter put back in it, or, you know, a rebuilt factory torque converter. So no wonder the stupid thing failed. This is the new one though. And as you can see, these lugs are part of it. This is a billet one. So I'm going to be putting a billet torque converter back in because you're supposed to do that. That's the recommended upgrade for these when they fail. Well, before we pull the old torque converter out, we got to put a straight edge across the bell housing and measure the offset of the bolt holes to make sure that the new torque converter doesn't sit too far out and is going to bind when we put the transmission back in. Just short of 1 inch 100th thou. So we're just short of 1 inch 100th thou is our offset from the bell housing to the flywheel mounting bolts. We're finally ready to pull the torque converter out. Well, I think we got a problem. So I have a new input seal. I'm going to change on the transmission just because the old one was made for the old torque converter. So I got a new one. Now there's also an O-ring right here, which is your lockup O-ring. Unfortunately, I asked the transmission shop that I bought the torque converter from to get me anything that I need to change it. So which included the input seal. I have not seen an O-ring. I don't think they gave me the O-ring. Now this one is not destroyed like they normally are. This one actually is still acting like an O-ring. So I think I'm going to have to just put the new torque converter in with the old O-ring. The reason is I got everything that I thought I would need to do this job. So unfortunately, I'm also stuck at home. I have no way to go get a new one. This is really, really actually unfortunate and kind of annoying. Well, for tonight, we're going to at least change the input shaft seal. Since it's really easy, we just pop the snap ring out and it basically comes out. The new one just slides in. The one thing we have to do still is pre-fill the torque converter. So we're going to add about a quart of Dextron 6 ATF because that's what this transmission calls for. Well, it's getting kind of late in the day. I'm going to leave that sit overnight for the fluid to soak down and get any air bubbles out of the turbine and all the stuff inside of the torque converter anyway. Now I'm going to try and sound smart at that point. We'll put the torque converter in tomorrow. Well, it's a good thing it's snowing. That makes this project so much more fun. Well, yesterday after we talked, I ended up calling the dealer. Nobody's got an O-ring. None of the local parts stores have one. The dealer can't get one till Monday now because I missed the cutoff on Thursday. The closest one at a GM dealership is 5 hours away. Not that I even have a car to go get one anyway. But the local one can't get one till Monday, so we have to reuse the one we have because I need to be able to go get stuff. I thought I had all the seals. That's the reason why I asked for all the seals, so I wouldn't run into this. But it's in good shape, so I guess we're going to risk it, because what do you do? Did I get all the clicks? Let's pull it back out. Okay, let's try that again. It didn't feel right. Unless I got lucky. 1, 2. Where's my third one? 3. Okay, there's all 3 clicks. Let's check our straight edge. So let's just set to 1 inch, 100th thou, because that's what we had before. No, we're not in nearly close enough. As you can see, we're missing a click somewhere. There we go. Or is that all the way in? Okay, so we were where the other one is for measurement. I think we're good. Let's throw it back in. The last thing I have to do is knock the dowel pins out of the transmission. For some reason, they pulled out of the engine. So we're going to knock them out of the transmission and put them back in the engine where they belong. With the transmission back in, we now are ready to check the clearance between the torque converter and the ring gear. We're looking for a minimum of about 1/8 of an inch, upwards of about 3/16 of an inch. It doesn't need to be super accurate, so we're just going to use the end of a drill bit for that. 1/8 inch drill bit. Okay, so we have just over 1/8 of an inch. Perfect. That's probably pretty hard to see. The torque converter does spin by hand with my fingers, so it's not binding. And we have right at 1/8 of an inch, give or take. It's just dragging, just barely dragging. So good, it's fully seated in the converter. Or the converter's fully seated in the transmission. The only reason for doing this is to make sure that it's seated and you're not going to bind and break anything. We're now ready to put converter bolts in. Every single bolt will be getting blue Loctite. Coming up on the hole, there we go. First torque converter bolt. We just gotta run these down, not all the way. Get all three started before we start snugging them up. And now we torque to 48 foot-pounds. We're now ready to put the transfer case in and the drive shafts. We're getting really close. Well, one last thing before we put drive shafts in and before we put the exhaust on. We got to pull the transmission pan back off. We got to change the filter and clean it out. I know I just put the filter on not long ago. It has maybe a couple thousand kilometers on it. It's really not that old. I could probably get away with reusing it, but I figured if I'm going to go this far, I might as well put a new filter in it anyway. There we go. A little piece right on the end of my finger. This little black thing. They didn't even stamp it completely. We are finally ready to fill the transmission with fluid, just in time as it's getting dark. Well, that's 6.5 quarts into the pan. I think we got enough in there at least to fire it up. I did put that first half quart torque converter, so let's fire it up and then we can check the fluid level. Well, it looks like they didn't get the one exhaust gasket quite sealed up on the driver's side on the manifold there, where it goes from the manifold to the Y pipe. That's an easy fix. Just tighten the bolts up. Does it move though is the question. It should. There should be enough fluid in it. It's been a couple of days since I changed the torque converter. I've put a couple 100 kilometers on it since, so let's show you what it's doing. For me, it's been working fantastic. As you can see, where it used to shudder before, it's not shuddering whatsoever. Even going down the highway, just sitting at highway cruising speed, there's no slip and there's none of that rumble strip shudder. That's completely all gone. It drives fantastic. It actually drives nicer than it has since I got it. So that was definitely the problem. And since we didn't find any metal, let's hope that it lasts.